So to recap, Kamala Harris's economic policies are either, one, carbon copies of President Trump's are just god-awful. And the even sadder news is that her ideas are about to spread through the Democrat Party like wildfire.
Well, let's bring in Forbes media chairman and editor-in-chief, Steve Forbes himself. Steve, you've been around for a little while. We got a problem with inflation. And it seems like the Kamala Harris plan is either let's price fix or let's give money away. In your experience, how is that going to work?
Well, you don't have to have a personal experience. Just look at the history books.
Right.
I'm old enough, though, to remember Richard Nixon, how well those price controls worked in the great inflation of the 1970s. Look, whenever government creates a big problem, and this inflation problem is government created, government then says, you got to give us more powers, more control to deal with the problem we created. And that's what we see unfolding here. On groceries, everyone's now pointed out 1% to 2% margins is hardly price gouging, but they want to have the power to determine whether your prices are fair. That's a Soviet-style system. They want to introduce the income, universal income, starting with the child tax credit, $6,000 a year. And so you look at housing. The idea that government's going to help housing, God help us, we'll all be living in caves. Look what they did with EV chargers. $7 billion. How many have been built? About 8. Half of them don't work. So now they're going to solve the housing problem. I want to live in a house, not on the sidewalk.
Yeah, the billions set aside for broadband to rural America, there hadn't been one shovel stuck in the ground because of that. We had
And that's an opportunity. Unspent money, let's return it to the taxpayer. Oh, I can't do that.
But you have to explain why on planet Earth would she go out, and even Senator Bob Casey, who's running for re-election, why would they act like that this is a good idea? Who would put her up to price controls of all things, knowing that they are a failure? Is she so intoxicated with her own awesomeness that she thinks she can sell food shortages and bare grocery store shelves to the American people? Because that's what happens.
I'm going to go to a new form of publishing, ration books, because that's what this would lead to. And they know, well, price controls, they know people are upset by rising prices. So they say, we'll lower them by government fiat. And they make it sound like if you just say it, sign an executive order, it's done. So they can lower the nominal prices, but as they said in the Soviet Union, it's free, but you can't get any.
You know, Steve, it's very simple. We've talked about this a lot on The Bottom Line. Basic supply and demand. You have this administration that has targeted farmers and ranchers. You look at the Central Valley of California, it is a breadbasket. A lot of farmers are there, and they're shutting off the water. So the farms are going out of business. They're attacking ranchers. Well, if you attack our food supply, prices are going to go up. And so the answer is, get rid of your bad policy. Let farmers and ranchers grow.
Well, as President Trump said yesterday, get rid of the barriers to building houses.
Yes.
Why does a development in Texas take a few weeks to get underway and years in California? And on water in California, talk about agriculture there. Half of the rainfall, average annual rainfall, is flushed out into the Pacific Ocean. Flushed out, either for environmental reasons, crazy ones, or they just can't build reservoirs. So it's not a water shortage, it's government shortage.
But to put an exclamation point on this, they believe that profits are evil, and they're going to decide what a company or a small business gets to earn. And this is the path. She is further left, way further left than what we've seen in the last 3.5 years.
Yeah, this is cronyism. They decide who gets money and who doesn't. And by the way, they'll have to put profit in the endangered species by the time they get through. And where are you going to get the investment to get this new technology, to get the new housing, get the infrastructure? It doesn't grow on trees. It comes from people creating resources. If you don't have an environment where people can create resources, government money printing ain't going to do it.
What is it, the 10 scariest words in the English language? I'm from the government, not 10, but I'm from the government. I'm here to help. Ronald Reagan's old line. We should be afraid that Kamala Harris thinks that she has
this is tyranny. Her presentation today, very cheerful, nice crowd, warm smile and all of that. Really bad face, a good face on the most radical leftist, Stalinist policies in American history. This would be an unmitigated disaster.
Thank you.
Well said,
Good
Steve.
to see you, Steve Forbes.
Good to see you.
Thank you, Steve. Always a dose of common sense with Steve.